Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the book of Leviticus. Today we begin looking at Leviticus chapter 24. You might recall that chapters 23 through 25 are a section, and they deal with the religious rituals of Israel, the festivals and celebrations they would observe. Now, we've spent several days looking at chapter 23, the annual festivals. And then when we get to chapter 25, we'll look at the festivals or the celebrations that occurred only periodically. Primarily, we're going to look at the sabbatical year and the year of Jubilee. But in chapter 24, the middle of the section, there's sort of a parenthesis, and the Lord gives instructions on how the priests are to minister in the most holy place. Now, you remember that in the tent of meeting, the first room is the most holy place. There's the altar of incense, the lampstand that with the lamps of oil that are kept burning, and the table of presence, the bread of the presence. And some very specific instructions are given to Aaron and his sons, the priest, on how they are to minister there, to keep the oil in the lamps burning continually before the Lord, and to maintain the bread of the presence, the bread on the table. Now that bread also becomes the food for the priest. Every time it's removed, they eat it. Because it's most holy unto the Lord, and only the priest may eat it. So there's that emphasis upon true worship and maintaining the worship place, the sanctuary, as it were, in worship before the Lord. That's the first half of chapter 24. And then in the last half of chapter 24, there's an incidence of blasphemy. Something occurs in the camp that must be dealt with. Let's look at that. We find it in verses 10 and following of chapter 24. Now the son of an Israelite mother and an Egyptian father went out among the Israelites, and a fight broke out in the camp between him and an Israelite. The son of the Israelite woman blasphemed the name with a curse, so they brought him to Moses. They put him in custody until the will of the Lord should be made clear to them. Notice his crime was he blasphemed the name. Now, what does that mean to blaspheme the name? The name, of course, is the name of God, the name of the Lord who had redeemed them from Egypt. In the Old Testament and in the New, the name is representative of the person. So, to blaspheme the name is not just a curse word. To blaspheme the name is to curse God himself. To blaspheme the name is to curse God himself. And so this occurs in the camp. The name of the Lord is cursed by a resident of the camp. The name is blasphemed. So what do you do? So they bring him before Moses. Moses says, well, let's put him in custody until the will of the Lord should be determined. Read on a few verses later, and Moses receives instructions from the Lord. Say to the Israelites, anyone who curses their God will be held responsible. See, that's what I just told you. To blaspheme the name, to curse God is the same thing. So Moses says, anyone who curses their God shall be held responsible. Anyone who blasphemes the name of the Lord is to be put to death. The entire assembly must stone them, whether foreigner or native born. When they blaspheme the name, they are to be put to death. Now, this strikes us as extraordinarily severe, I know. But I think it highlights the importance that you are the people of God. That's what the Lord is saying to the Israelites. You are my people. You will not blaspheme my name. You will not curse me. That is not acceptable. And so the penalty is severe because the crime threatens the entire life of the people of God. For they are the people of God. And how could they continue to be if they blaspheme his name? Now what that says to us, I think, is that we are those who bear the name of Jesus. And we must live in such a way that his name is honored and exalted. We must never do anything that brings dishonor to his name. The fact that we are called Christians says that the name of the Lord is upon us. His presence is with us. And we must always strive to live in such a way by faith that his name is exalted and honored. I know it's a rather severe example from the book of Leviticus, but it shows the importance of the name upon us. And we must live to exalt his name and to honor his name. Praise be unto the name of the Lord. Hope you join us tomorrow as we continue our study of Leviticus. We'll begin looking at chapter 25, and that chapter, as I said, will deal with the Sabbath year and the year of Jubilee, both very interesting concepts and teaching tools from the Old Testament. We'll look at that starting tomorrow.